It's been 48 hours since we acquired this deer, kind of through the grapevine, and it was already injured when we got it. Having a baby deer is just like having a dog. It follows you around everywhere, and you got to take it out to go potty, and you have to, it's such a baby, you got to give it a bottle every 3 or 4 hours. It drinks goat milk replacer. Deer and goats are closely related. Unfortunately, today's our last day with this baby. We're dropping it off with a rehabilitator later today. As you can see, it's got a broken leg. We had to try and wrap it and fix it up as best we can, and we're getting it to a rehabilitator as soon as possible. This fawn is literally the cutest thing, we've ever seen in our entire life. We have no idea how its leg got broken, but basically it's illegal to own a deer completely, and so we are just, we talked to the right people, we called around a whole bunch right when we acquired it, and we're just taking care of it long enough to get it to a licensed rehabilitator. So deer prefer one of the older style baby bottles when you're going to feed them versus an animal bottle that you get from like a feed store. Also, deer have to be stimulated to go pee or poop for the first 2 weeks of their life. So if you ever get a deer, you're trying to take care of it, it may need to be stimulated. That's a very, very common problem with people that find a deer and try and rehabilitate it, and they don't know that you have to stimulate it to poop and pee until it's 2 weeks old. So this one is older than 2 weeks, luckily. We didn't have to stimulate it at all. It just goes out and goes poop and pee. When they're 1 week old, they weigh less than 10 pounds, and at 6 months old, they weigh about 65 pounds. So they grow extraordinarily fast. And then in about 1 year, it'd be almost 100 pounds. This is a young buck. Deer are browsers. So they like to go around and they eat all sorts of different things. They try leaves from every different tree and try leaves from every different plant. They eat mushrooms and lichens and moss, and they just go around, taste it. If it tastes good, they eat it. So it's very important when you find a deer in the wild to assume that it's well taken care of and leave it alone. A mama deer will leave her babies for up to 48 hours and just leave them laying in a tall grass or in the brush or something like that. And then she'll come back after foraging and after doing what she's doing. Don't ever touch one of those deers if you find it, because you can get your scent on the deer and then the mom could potentially reject it when she comes back. I tell you what, we've rehabilitated or at least acquired a lot of weird, exotic odds and ends animals. Somebody killed their mom on accident, and one time we had a whole litter of opossums to take care of. We got those to a licensed rehabilitator after taking care of them for a couple of days. I'll tell you what, of all the baby animals we've had, this is probably the cutest. And for the record, it's pretty dangerous to keep a deer as a pet because it's going to get really, really big really fast. And during breeding season, especially, the bucks will grow large antlers. They're not afraid of humans at all, and they get really, really aggressive, and they get really rambunctious. And also, if you have a pet deer, it's going to wander around during mating season, which is also corresponds with deer season. And they're not afraid of humans, so they're going to approach a human right up, and they're way more likely to get shot that way. It takes a particular setting to be able to have a baby deer properly. Like you have to have a license, high fence, or be so far away from everybody else that you know that deer is not going to wander around, and be able to defend yourself against a sexually aggressive buck deer. So anyway,